Hello, we're here at Cresswell Barn Farm in Pembrokeshire to see Patrick Elliott, the farmer here. The family farm, they've been farming potatoes now for a couple of decades. They've been using our OptiYield system from Emerald Research for the last 10 years, so we want to see how Patrick's been getting on with that, particularly this year, which has been a very challenging season, as so many seasons are now increasingly challenging. So let's go and see Patrick in the field and see how he's getting on. Hello, Patrick.
Yes, Simon, how are you?
Great to see you. So, Pat, how have you found the process of implementing OptiYield? Because when we first met in 2015, you started with 5 hectares to try it, and we're now just about doing the lot. How have you found that process over the past few years?
Yeah, no, I mean, we slowly grew into it a bit at a time, I guess, with that 5 hectares, and then I think we went up to 15 the next year, and then 50 hectares the year after that, and then I think after that we've implemented across the whole growing for us. We wouldn't look back, to be honest. With the last trial we did, I think it was back in 2022 on a field of whites, which we ended up seeing about a 3 or 4 tonne an acre yield difference. And yeah, from then we didn't really need to second guess it anymore and wanted to continue with it, to be honest.
But I think you said to me previously, you think that on average you're getting yields between 15 and 25% higher than you were previously. Was there a particular moment where you thought, aha, this is doing something?
The symposium was definitely a big positive. After seeing the difference in emergence, and you're digging around in the ground and you're seeing the mass of roots around there compared to our sort of standard program back what it was then with the Amistar, definitely makes you think that you're doing something right, and you want to continue doing something right and following the whole program really. So.
And you cover a lot of ground, obviously, because you've got the salads as well, and you're down in Pembrokeshire. How do you find working with the program under those conditions?
Yeah, it's good really. I mean, at the beginning of the season we sit down with yourself, Simon, and see what we want to be putting on and saying, well, this is the lighter land which we'll be putting salads on, and we try and keep the heavier land back close to home base, so the main crop and the pipered, and this is what we expected to get out of the yield wise, and try and work out the best plan really, isn't it? So.
Do you think that the OptiYield soil analysis and recommendation program, which is obviously our foundation, our fundamental, do you think that is of real benefit to you?
Definitely. I mean, you look where we started for the first recommendation table, and now look where we ended up now for the previous year, and having a proper sit down and a talk of properly narrowing it down field by field and variety by variety, rather than having blocks, because I think it's gone by the day you can segregate 50 acres for one variety. You need to be doing it as isolated as possibly can really.
One of the foundations, as you know, is using our symposium bacteria and biological and biochemical product at planting. Do you think that has real benefit?
I mean, it's a lot kinder on the soil, in my opinion, and we know that as well. We usually use Amistar and never look back now since we used symposium. The main thing from a salad point of view is the emergence, because you could be getting between 3 and 7 days faster emergence, which is quite crucial that beginning part of the season for the salads really. So yeah, no, definitely positive, and which we'll be using further for next year.
And do you see an effect in rooting? And
yeah, no, definitely. And the rooting is a big issue this year, considering the dry weather. If we didn't have the root mass like we had them this year, I don't think we'd be able to find what moisture they did find in that dry weather. So yeah, no, definitely a big positive.
Do you think the foliar nutrition program, combined with biostimulants like Diamond and like Sea Spray, do you find that has helped the crop survive the extreme conditions we've had this year?
Been able to take the nutrients a lot quicker, I believe, by using your program and the foliar round especially, and keeping all the plants growing, and giving that a little dose once every week or once every blight spray seems to be keeping the plant healthy and giving it the best chance you've probably got really.
As you know, we've seen over the past decade increasingly extreme weather conditions during the season. Have you found that yields generally year to year have been maintained no matter what the conditions?
Definitely. Without your program, I definitely think we'd have seen some sort of deficit, whether it was root mass and if that affecting the total yield, to be honest. The likes of foliar N and Superphos and all the foliar feeds we can apply to it, I think definitely work a lot better than having to think about what we can put extra on the base really. And going forward is definitely something that we want to keep on going with it, to be honest.
So are any particular tuber qualities that you see consistently above and beyond what you would have seen before?
I mean, the tuber evenness, size-wise, is definitely a big positive. And also, you leave the ground a lot better conditioned as well without using chemicals in the ground and planting. The symposium does a lot better job, really. So we're definitely happier overall doing the programme in full, from planting to harvesting as well, really. So.
When we're looking at the programs earlier in the year, we cut down on nitrogen and phosphate again as we've done over the last few years. Has that worked for you?
Yes, definitely. It's always a target of ours to try and reduce fertiliser inputs, and especially with the environmental side of things, and also a cost factor as well, to be honest. And if we can try and narrow that down year on year and take small jumps rather than one big leap, I think that's a big improvement really from our business's efficiency side and also from environmental side as well, really.
Just on the environmental side of things, have you seen any environmental benefits with the reduced use of nitrogen, phosphate or other inputs?
Yeah, no, I mean, all round, I think definitely from the programme we sit down and talk through in the winter and try and eke out a bit of nitrogen and phosphate use and just see where we can make improvements and thinking we're not jumping the gun with 2 feet, but also knowing that we're doing small improvements at a time. I'd like to think we could cut it a bit more next year, but I'll have to sit down and properly look at it and say, well, where can we make improvements, really? So
you've mentioned it again, but from an environmental point of view, improved crop health, crop vigour, rooting and things like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Seeing when you came down 2-3 weeks ago in your previous visit, just seeing the depth of ground that we've got there for the roots to be growing into. There's not a pan underneath the ground, so they can't go anywhere. And I think in a year like this is vital with having those roots that can keep on growing and trying to find what moisture they can while it's so dry, because they don't stand much chance otherwise. Really.
I think you make a very good point. I think making sure that you've got the soil structure underneath to be able to support the plant you're trying to grow on the top, particularly with a crop as poor rooting as potatoes, is absolutely vital. You're right. I mean, things like Symposium will really invigorate root growth and root exploration. But if it's hitting a pan, it's not going to go anywhere. So having that soil structure is really key to.
And if we can do what we can to give it the best possible chance of getting the best crop we can to get out of it, then we'll keep on doing so, to be honest.
Yeah. We've cut down a lot on fungicides too over the past few years. Do you see us continuing with that and reducing that still further?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, don't get me wrong, every year is different.
Yes.
I'd like to think that if we can keep on using Diamond and 1 litre a hectare and try and prolong the blight intervals, I mean, it's definitely a plus for our business with the cost of having to go over it once a week compared to once every 10 to 14 days, really. So it's definitely a big improvement for us.
Well, you've stood next to your brand new Veritron 4-row. Is that going to be a benefit? Have you been using that?
It's definitely. We've covered about 450 acres with it so far and wouldn't look back, to be honest. Soil conditions are a lot better after we leave the field, which is the main thing for all the landlords. And peace of mind knowing if the weather does turn wet, at least we know we've got the best machine on the market to get them out, really. So,
given what you've been telling us, Pat, would you recommend our system to any of your neighbours? What would you say to them?
I definitely encourage it and say, look, just give it a go. I'm 99% certain you would be seeing a difference, whether that's canopy, rooting, or ended up being tuber yield and tuber quality at the end of it.
So it's great to see Patrick there in the field in his brand new Grimmy Veritron and harvesting potatoes, and great to see such fantastic potatoes coming out of the ground and at such a good yield. As you can see behind me, they're now back in the yard grading the potatoes out, and they'll be boxed and ready to go to the supermarkets in due course.